Coming up on WMBD News at noon, bullying caught on camera. Now the father of the Central Illinois victim speaks out. Also, local health officials are dedicating a window of COVID-19 testing to one particular vulnerable community. We're sharing where you can get tested. And protests against police brutality are leading to some to call for pulling school resource officers, why Peoria public school officials are backing their SRO model. Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks so much for joining us. I'm Shelbey Roberts. First this afternoon, one person is dead after an early morning crash in McLean County. It happened on County Road 3400 East near 1800 North Road outside of Colfax. The McLean County coroner says a 28-year-old man was pronounced dead at the scene. That happened around 4:45 this morning. The man's name has not yet been released pending notification of his family members. Authorities have not released the cause of that crash or if it involves more than one car. But the deceased driver was the only person in that car, and an autopsy is set for today. A very busy scene at Country Inn & Suites in Peoria today. This was just after 8 this morning. The initial call came in for a fire alarm at the hotel on Landon's Way. Fire crews found a fire in a bathroom on the second floor there. There's about $50,000 in damage. Crews were able to put out the fire and everyone got out safely. Investigators are still working to figure out what started that fire. A very disturbing story here. Outrage around Central Illinois after cell phone video captured a brutal case of bullying in Chillicothe. The victim, a 17-year-old girl with autism. WMBD's Matt Sheehan spoke with her family and shares the message they want everyone to hear.
They just all of a sudden started coming up and picking on her, and McKenna wasn't doing anything.
A video surfaced on social media showing 17-year-old McKenna Batson, who's autistic, being surrounded by multiple teens, hitting her, trying to get her to fight them.
Just seeing the video, every time I look at it, I get very angry.
Her dad, Terry, says this isn't the first time his daughter has been bullied, and he's ready to put a stop to it.
I'm not going to let somebody just let it go, because I'm not going to. This is enough, and I'm worried about her.
Almost immediately, the video was sent to Chillicothe police numerous times, begging officers to take action. Chief Scott Mattill says his department acted immediately, sending a message that bullying will not be tolerated. Those arrested were minors. They're being charged with aggravated battery and mob action. Chief Mattill says at first McKenna blamed herself for the situation.
It was really important to make her understand that this was not her fault. You know, this is something that mean people do.
In less than 24 hours, a Facebook group, Kindness for McKenna, has been created. Over 1,000 people have joined the group, posting kind, heartfelt messages for McKenna, showing her she isn't alone and she is loved. McKenna's father hopes this incident wakes people up, showing them your action and words do have weight.
I want them to be educated to know you're not just picking on somebody, you're destroying somebody. You're destroying every ounce of their soul. You know, you may think it's funny, but what if somebody did that to you?
Terry says teaching kids respect and responsibility is important and needs to be taught more. Chief Mattill says more arrests are expected to be made by the end of Tuesday. In Chillicothe, Matt Sheehan, WMBD News.
Now, the Chillicothe police chief says that 6 juveniles and 1 adult all have been charged with aggravated battery and mob action. Turning now to the courtroom in McLean County, a Bloomington teenager faces first-degree murder charges. Prosecutors believe he shot and killed 25-year-old Juan Nash last summer. This is Scotty Allen. Back in 2019, he and his 2 friends went to a block party on Orchard Road. The 2 were there for less than 2 hours before a shootout happened, leaving 25-year-old Juan Nash dead and several others hurt. Allen's lawyer says that Allen had nothing to do with that shooting because the Bloomington Police Department found no traces of gunshot residue on his hands. But prosecutors say that Juan Nash's brother killed a friend of Scotty Allen's years ago. They say that Allen is a part of a gang and believe that he went to the block party to kill Juan Nash for revenge. Court has picked back up and will bring you the latest at 3 p.m. The former University of Illinois police officer accused of raping 4 women will represent himself when that trial begins. A Champaign County judge granted the request by Gerald Sandage. Now the trial will move forward with no lawyer for Sandage. He's accused of sexual assault, sexual abuse, and intimidation for alleged attacks on 4 women Those incidents allegedly took place back in June in 2012. Sandage resigned from his role from the U of I in February. In your COVID-19 coverage, another person has died after having the virus. The victim is a Peoria County woman in her 80s. She lived at the University Rehab Center. There are now 20 COVID-19 related deaths in Peoria County. Also, 10 new cases of the virus reported in the Tri-County area. 5 of those in Peoria County, 4 in Tazewell County, and 1 in Woodford County. The state is reporting a significant increase in deaths. After 3 days of under 30 deaths, 72 were reported yesterday. Also, 623 new cases. There are now just over 133,000 cases statewide and almost 6,400 deaths. In an effort to help improve access to COVID-19 testing in Central Illinois, Heartland Health Services in Peoria is setting aside time for the Hispanic community. Enrollment specialist Rosie Boyas says that during these drive-up testing sites, they haven't been receiving much traffic from this particular demographic. So yesterday, the health officials dedicated time at the North Wisconsin site to test people within the Hispanic community. Boyas says that testing is free and no documentation is required.
We want to make sure that you yourself, your family, your neighbors are healthy. We want to make sure that if you need the proper treatment, we can refer you, we can help you, regardless, again, your status of immigration or regardless of your health coverage.
And Boyas says that she wants those in the Hispanic community to know that they don't have to be afraid to visit those drive-up testing sites. Their identification will be protected. If you weren't able to get out yesterday, Boyas is setting aside some time today between 1 and 4 to offer those tests. Republicans are suing Governor J.B. Pritzker, seeking exemption from the 10-person limit on public gatherings. The GOP claims that the limit on in-person gatherings violates people's First Amendment rights. They want the court to exempt political parties from the cap on gatherings and meetings leading up to election time. Governor Pritzker says that his planning has helped Illinois see a decline in new infections and deaths, while other states are seeing spikes. In other news, after weeks of national protests over police brutality, yesterday President Trump signed an executive order on police reform. That order establishes a database to keep track of officers with excessive use of force complaints. It incentivizes departments for updating training certifications, and it employs mental health professionals to work with police. But as part of police reform, some people want officers pulled from local schools. WMBD's Austin Schick explains Peoria Public Schools' stance on the matter.
Safe, secure, and peaceful. Since 1972, Peoria Public Schools Director of School Safety says it's their mission.
We're more intervention approach, deal with more social emotional needs.
Chief DEMARIO Boone says his officers have the same goal.
The approach that our officers do complements the goals that the school district has to educate the whole child.
Peoria Public Schools is one of the few that don't use city or county officers as school resource officers. In response to recent police-involved killings, some who live in areas where schools hire police officers are now asking for alternatives. Superintendent Dr. Sharon Desmoulin-Karat saying their officers are doing what people are asking for when they call to defund police.
They're doing the counseling, they're doing the social work, they're doing the home visits.
She also says many play key roles in their students' daily lives.
They're developing relationships, and a lot of them serve as role models for young people.
School board member Daniel Walther saying he understands the calls for reform when city or county officials are SROs. He says because the officers aren't affiliated with local departments, the district has an advantage.
They're trained for de-escalation and dealing with students. I mean, that's their background. City police, and I'm not bad-mouthing them, but they're trained a whole different way.
Boone saying his officers are there to bridge gaps and build stronger relationships with the Peoria community.
That was Austin Schick reporting. Now, all 3 of those officials say that Peoria school resource officers have been recognized by the state and nation for their service. Well, just weeks after making some sweeping budget cuts, the Peoria County Board is now giving money back to 3 departments. Yesterday, the Peoria County Board approved more than $850,000 to split between the Sheriff's Office, the State's Attorney's Office, and the Election Commission. The Sheriff's Office, getting about $500,000, will use the money to keep mental health and reentry programs at the local jail. $300,000 going to the Election Commission, and that will reportedly help boost vote by mail options. The rest of the money will go to the state's attorney's Jody Hoose's office, and she says she'll hire an attorney and social worker to address social injustices in the criminal justice system. And of course, we'll be sharing more details on CIProud.com. A popular Central Illinois RV park and marina is back up and running. Spring flooding covered the Spindler Marina, leaving RV owners and boaters without places to go. But now that the river has gone back down below 15 feet, the campground is filling up. Fond du Lac Park District Director Mike Johnson says that his district has lost between $300,000 to $400,000 this year between those facilities closing down due to the COVID-19 pandemic and the marina closing due to flooding. Coming up, a sign controversy in Metamora. The confrontation between a man with a pro-police sign and a village trustee, all caught on camera.